everyone, welcome back to Dr. D.C.A. YouTube channel. If you like this kind of content, I highly recommend to share with your friends and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. The first thing I want to see is NASDAQ before going to Bitcoin and crypto. And we discussed about a cool-off period once we hit the level of 14,500. And that's what we are seeing. NASDAQ had an amazing rally this year, right? It hit the resistance of 14.5, and now it's cooling off. We talked about this indicator called relative strength index, and we talked about this upper range of 70 is what they call overbought, meaning there are a lot of people who bought in, and in most cases, there's some cool off after that, right? That doesn't mean, the market completely collapsed or anything like that. It's just an indicator to show you there's too much, bullishness in the market, and there might be some correction happening, right? So we touched that level, and now we are cooling off, right? And we said that we are following this yellow line, which is sort of the diagonal support line. So there's a lot of room, right, to visit this line, and it could even go sideways like this, and meet this line later, or this line. When this line gets broken, right, which has been followed since like the end of December, that's when it's a little bit concerning in the sense like what new pattern it's going to like build, right? So it's important to follow this pattern, follow this line, diagonal line, to support the bullish uptrend of the market, right? Obviously, a lot of companies were like just going crazy in terms of valuations, and companies like Microsoft and so forth, they touched and crossed their previous all-time highs. So there was supposed to be some cool off, and that's what's happening, right? It touched this resistance level, which has been tested 1, 2 times, right? So the third time it touched, and it's correcting. And what I see happening is what might happen to the Indian stock market, right? In Indian stock market, the high was last year, sorry, in 2021 in October, like the other markets, it corrected heavily, and then it actually reached the high, right? A new high, actually. So from 62.3K to 63.5K, right? And then it corrected. So if we compare that with NASDAQ, NASDAQ is way off from its previous all-time high. So sure, this might be like a short-term correction, but it will rally back up and maybe even cross this to confuse the crap out of people, and then it corrects, right? So right now, I feel like this is a mini correction, and as long as this trend line is supported, we are probably going to try to cross the 16.2, 16.3 thousand level, right? That's pretty much it. There's not much going on. We have been watching this level, and it touched it, and it's correcting. And honestly, Bitcoin is also not doing much because there's not much of risk on environment. However, some of the AI stocks, artificial intelligence stocks, saw some massive movements. We'll talk about that. But Bitcoin is not doing much, which means crypto is not doing much, right? So if we, see a bigger picture, we said the 32,000 range, this box we've been following since the inception of the channel, right, is not being convincingly crossed. But we are getting very close to this diagonal support line that we have been watching since, the reversal. So now it gets very interesting. Will this be supported, or is it going to get corrected? There's a small falling wedge here, right, which kind of shows the upside target. The way to calculate this is you take the peak, you just draw the small line and from the breakout. So you put it over here, right, where it's breaking out, and it shows around 32.5K. Now, this is just like, a short-term analysis of the small falling wedge, right? Because we have had this here, right? And there's a smaller version of being created here. But it basically, it looks very bearish. A lot of people are getting bearish now, right? And that might be the reason of the reversal. But the momentum will definitely depend on how Nasdaq is doing. So right now, Nasdaq is kind of correcting, and Bitcoin is not like heavily correcting, it's just chilling, right? It's just going sideways, making it so boring for a lot of people. And in my opinion, that's great. I think anything under this level for long-term Bitcoin hodlers is going to be a good thing, right? So that's where Bitcoin stands. We talked about the inflation data and so forth, so I'm not going to cover that again. But inflation is coming down, but it's coming in the region where it's going to be like unstable in the sense there is no guarantee because it has come down quite a bit off, like from 9% to like 3%, right? So now what happens is like, what if the next reading comes 3.5%, right? There's going to be a little bit of confusion and choppiness because of that, right? But most likely, U.S. federal government has peaked its, interest rate, and which basically means we do expect in next 6 months an anticipation of when the cutting of the rates is going to start, right? Ideally, market should front run it, and that's why I'm saying chances of a higher Nasdaq index is highly possible. And then when everything looks great in the sense like, you know, Fed is going to start cutting the rate, market will also start correcting to, create some sort of bottom at that sense. And then when the rates are close to 2%, which I expect probably around 2025, right? That's when the correction should bottom and the new cycle should start in terms of the uptrend, right? Um, because we are basically all the markets are related to low interest rate, and low interest rate are historically pretty damn good for Bitcoin. Bitcoin does incredibly well, right? Low interest rate is also very good for altcoin market, and that's what we are targeting. Okay. Let's go straight into our portfolio. One thing I want to show is like there's no Litecoin here anymore. I actually exited. This was probably one of the worst. I think we only made like maybe 10 or 15% in Litecoin. So we talked about the halving coming, which came on 3rd of August. And you can see this is July, which was a peak, which is normally a month ahead of the halving, and the price never recovered, right? So this resistance of around $100 played a huge role in the bear market, right? And as I said, this was a short-term trade that I was trying out, right? It didn't work out that well, and I exited from that position, and I actually bought into CRV. And the reason I bought into CRV is because CRV had some sort of hack, and the price actually collapsed from all the way to like almost 90 cents to 47. I got in around 51 cents or so. And I want to explain like why I did that, right? So if you see like a longer term picture, you can see like the price completely collapsing from this peak of like around $7, right? And it's doing nothing much. But if you see like this box, the support box, right? It's been followed since like 28th of the October of 2020, right? This is the absolute bottom, and it's been still staying above it. And when it just touched that line, even with that big hack in the bear market, the price held up with a massive volume. So you see that volume is massive, right? Which means, sure, the hack made a lot of people sell, but the buyers came in to keep the price uh, above that support line. In my opinion, that is technically very solid, and that's why I got into CRV, right? And this is a sort of a long-term play. I'm not trying to do a short-term trade. I do expect this to go to $7 and touch its previous high. It's one of the prime decentralized exchange as we discussed previously, right? So got into CRV and actually pretty up in CRV, right? Or I shouldn't say up, but it basically because we got into like a higher price, our average is getting better, and now we are like net even with CRV, right? There's not much going on in any of the other ones. I actually also bought some router protocols. So router protocol is one of our big plays for the next cycle, as we talked about interoperability, right? Different blockchains talking to each other. And if you want to quickly see router protocol, we've been watching the support line, which has been there since a year, right? It hit this resistance box, could not go through, came back again, and now it's cooling off, right? So I got some more over here. So overall, if you see the portfolio for router protocol, sure, we are 10% down, but it's okay. This is a long-term play, and I'm going to keep building the position as the time goes. Um, Again, not much going on in terms of Ethereum either, because like we are not in the risk on environment, so it's just basically going sideways, right? And still this line is followed, but that's been followed because the Bitcoin's trend line is followed, right? Bitcoin is still following this trend line, right? It's getting very close. So that, if this trend line is broken, that's where people may get bearish and there might be some volatility in the sense this trend line gets broken. Some, big investor may try to, lower the price and then you see a lot of shorts and then it reverses, something like that, right? That may happen. But we are not trading here, right? So all we are doing is just basically watching what's going on, right? So overall, the portfolio is around 11,000. We are stable, just overall portfolio is like 2.5% up. My point is, in last 2 months of building this position, we are neither going to a high nor going too low. If a crypto collapse happens, this might go 20-30% down. But the point is, I'm going to be $3,000 down and loading up heavily to get my average back up, just like we did with CRV. And this is the power of D.C.A. What I'm trying to explain with this channel, that when you go slowly building your assets in different streams or different categories or different tokens, different stocks, you have enough opportunities to buy different things and average all the way down. And without panicking, you can build your positions. This is our 25, 26 sort of, plan. It's not a short-term plan. There will be some short-term opportunities that, for example, Litecoin was a short-term opportunity. Right now, I don't think about Litecoin unless, let's say there's a big collapse of 50% or something, and then, you might get in for, again, a short-term trade. But most of this position are high multipliers. That's what I'm looking for, right? And yeah, so yeah. By the way, we made like 10% in Litecoin. The portfolio shows over here. Yeah. Okay, let's go to the stock portfolio. Now, in stock portfolio, we are still like around up 17%. The reason it's going down heavily is because the Coinbase stock is not doing good, right? So after all this big stocks, speculative stocks corrected, Litecoin also corrected around 30%, right? So again, it hit beautifully this resistance of around 120, and now it's correcting roughly around 31, 32%, right? So, now it becomes one of those stocks which I'm eyeing to again D.C.A. because, we are not buying way up. Our average is actually around 50, right? So we bought it around here a couple of times and then let it run. But I'm not exiting because there's no point for me, again, like a crypto cycle we are looking for is 25, 26. Then what's the point of selling Coinbase right now? It's going to have this volatility because, it's a speculative stock, right? But what I'm watching, the other interesting thing is like getting into the AI stocks because if you see what happened with Upstart, it just collapsed 60, almost 60%, right? On the peak. Yeah. So a lot of this AI stocks had a massive hype. They went five, six times from their bottoms, and now they are correcting because of the overvaluation. And one big thing I'm watching in terms of like this speculative stocks is Nvidia. Nvidia has peaked around $500. It's correcting, and it has earning coming very soon. It's next week, right? Next Wednesday. And one interesting thing about NVIDIA is its valuation. Its valuation is so this is called thing called price to earning ratio, meaning what multiple people are paying. Uh, when you compare its earnings. So people are paying right now. It's 220, which is massive, absolutely massive. It was even higher here, right? So considering the earnings coming up, and it's so higher than even its previous all-time high in 2021 peak. If this crashes, it's going to take down all the AI stocks and sort of crush the AI hype. And as we talked about, this is the first AI hype, right? Which is like, all the news media talking about AI and so forth, but it's still not in action. When AI comes in action, which is still going to be 2, 3 years down the road, it's actually going to improve the earnings of a lot of the companies, right? So, for example, a small company, well, not so small company, but a company like Airbnb, right? What if they can have their fully automated support done through AI, softwares, right? When those companies start showing that their profits are increasing because of the AI, that's when the actual AI bubble would be, starting because then everyone would be like on that board of like, oh, we're going to like increase the revenue, giving, ridiculous sort of, projections and so forth. And it will 100% create a massive AI bubble. And that would be the biggest bubble of this decade. Okay. And so the reason to show this is now I'm watching those AI stocks and we would be getting into the AI stocks as the correction happens. It will actually depend on the next week and hopefully this, I don't think this earnings are going to be meeting the expectation because that's just too damn high, right? Which means the NVIDIA stock may correct heavily, taking all the AI stocks down, and then that would be a time to get in and do the D.C.A that we've been doing in the crypto world. All right. That's pretty much it. Thanks for watching this video. I know we posted a couple of weeks down the road, but there was not much going on in the market. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends about the channel. We are not into making 10x the next day. This is a channel where you actually come to learn about like technical analysis, the booming industries, slowly investing and building your portfolio so you have multiple things to invest in without panicking. Okay, that's the key. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.